I know you found it amusing when I was channeling Tevye a few weeks ago. Well, now I want to be Liza Minnelli today. And I want to do this little piece from Cabaret. You know, where money makes the world go around, the world go around. She then goes through and lists all these different types of money. So this is perhaps the one Sunday where I actually get to talk about money during a homily. But it's not the kind of money that we want to talk about where I want asking you for more. Rather, we want to take a look at the situations that are portrayed about wealth and what we do with what we have in the scriptures today. We begin with that poor widow who's about to die of hunger because she's down to her last little bit of flour and oil. And yet, she accepts the invitation of this holy man to do what God is asking her to do and to feed him first. Because she trusted in God and observed the rules of hospitality, she was rewarded with food for a year. And what about the widow in the gospel? Her last 2 cents, if you will, going to the treasury to support the temple and its works. She gave more than all those wealthy sums that had been placed there, because she gave of herself in her poverty. I read a report this week that the various political parties and interest groups spent $8 billion on this election. $8 billion. Boggles the mind. Can you imagine what could have happened if that money had been redirected into programs for the poor, training situations, making other educational opportunities available, job creation, rather than endless ad nauseum political ads on television, radios, newspapers? On this Veterans Day, the scriptures call us to get our priorities straight. We place the flag in the sanctuary today, not to glorify America, but to remind us of service to God and country that is typified by so many of our service people. They answer the call to duty to protect you and me. They answer the call to stand up for our freedoms here, that freedom of expressing ourselves, that freedom of worshiping as we choose to worship. But in doing so, it's just not a secular matter. It's also an example that is held up to us in the Gospels for you and for me to reach out to other people, to stand up for those that no one speaks for. The poor, the homeless, the sick, the disadvantaged, victims of cancer, victims of AIDS, victims of all sorts of things that have no one to speak to them but those of us that do have a voice. We are called upon not to be just people who throw an envelope in a collection plate, but a people who, while supporting the church, do the work of church. So many times you've heard me say, it's not my job to go out and do some of these things. Some of you have shouldered the responsibility of the pantry. Others take responsibility for organizing other things, the liturgies, the music, reaching out to those that are estranged from the church. It is the work of Christ that we are called to do. We are called to be like those widows, giving of ourselves, of our very essence, to support those that have less than even we.